So, hi guys, thank you for joining me for this video, this Facebook Live. Again, this is just to answer some questions that I've had, uh, really to follow on from maybe a previous Facebook Live that I did, and this was about building healthy relationships. So, some of the things that we've touched on before are very, very complex. I try to keep these answers really simple. Not that there is anything simple about the psychology of relationships, but hopefully, if I can make some points that you can pick up on and learn from, then that might be helpful for you. So, hopefully, tonight I'm going to identify three skills which we need to find that help relationships work. I'm going to kind of identify these based on the research, and then you can kind of think about these for yourself, how they affect you, if they can make your life better, make your relationship better, but ultimately make you a happier, better person. So at the end of the video, I'm going to tell you where you can contact me, where you can join a link if you've got further questions, or if you'd like personal help. I'm always available to do that, but we'll talk about that nearer the end. So, when we think about the world that we live in today and the world of social media, we live more and more with a sense of not being connected, which is strange, really, because when you think about social media, it connects us to, well, most of the people on the planet, pretty much. But what I mean by that is that with social media, we're substituting real connections and real life for the world of social media. And the data is quite clear on that. And since 2012, around about that time, um, mobile phone access was more popular, social media became more popular. I think the iPhone 5 was out then from 2009. So mobile phones and access to internet data became much more common, much cheaper. Lots more people had it. And since then, since that period, there's been an increase in depression in 12 to 20-year-olds by 70%. So that's a bit less than 10 years, a 70% increase in depression in 12 to 20-year-olds. And there's research has shown there's a clear correlation in that depression with social media. So anyway, why is that? Why is that relevant to relationships? Well, again, relationships are very, very complex, but there are three keys that have been identified to finding the right partner for you. And these three keys are, and I've talked about this first one, I've covered this in a previous video, which is basically knowing what you want and need in a partner, selecting the right person, and that's obviously based on knowing what you need and want in a partner, and developing and using skills to make a relationship work right from the beginning. And I'm going to touch on those three skills now. But if we're influenced by social media, then we can struggle to develop these skills because we'll not be able to create clear thinking for ourselves and use our own minds as such because of the way that social media influences our behavior and our thinking. So one of these skills, it's important that we're able to have clear thinking and clear minds. So when we form relationships, we come with patterns of behaviors. We have our own personalities, we have our own habits, and we form these personalities over a period of time. And certainly for the latest generation, the social media phenomenon, it's having a huge effect on what they perceive good relations are, or what a good relationship should be. So we all know what a good relationship looks like, but we haven't got a clue how to get one. Those that portray the perfect relationship on social media are often the ones that are living the biggest lies, that life isn't that good. But it's easy to portray that with the lovely pictures, with the glamorous lifestyle. But when you look into and dig into these relationships and the lifestyles, it's often a perception and a lie. I'm not saying that's all the time, but there's a lot of evidence to suggest that that is the case. So all of us have presuppositions, habits, thoughts, and behaviors that we carry into a relationship from the beginning. Although how we behave at the beginning of a relationship is often very different to how we behave 6 months or a year down the line, because our behaviors tend to modify and change as we get familiar with the relationship. So the good news is that researchers have discovered that there are three habits that, if you develop, will give you every chance of having a successful relationship. The bad news is that ideally you should have developed these before you started the relationship. So great if you're single and looking for a partner, and if you're already in a relationship, then the chances are that you're involved in that relationship, that you've brought in your old habits and behaviours. However, if you start to work on these three skills, you should see an improvement in your thinking and your behaviour, and ultimately your relationship. So the first skill that's been identified is what is called insight. Who you are, what you are, and why you do things. And this is all about learning to understand yourself and why you do the things that you do, being aware of what you do. So if you can learn to develop insight, learning about yourself, you can begin to think more deeply about why you behave in a certain way. Oh, and by the way, 99% of the stuff that I teach on improving relationships, or pretty much anything at all in life, is primarily about you and your behavior, not your partner, not your parents, not your friends, not your boss at work. No, you. 99% of the time, it starts with you. So that's where you have to start every time to bring changes into your life. It's all about taking responsibility for your actions and your behaviors first. So, insight. You might suddenly realize that the reason that you start to think about thinking, you might suddenly realize that you're snapping at your partner all the time or losing patience with your kids is because the stress of work is overwhelming you. You're going to work, you're under pressure, that's causing you stress, and you bring that home, and that can cause your behaviours to have a knock-on effect to your loved ones or friends. And these are primarily caused by the patterns of behaviour that you've brought into the relationship that you've learned through your experiences and through growing up. And insight allows you to see that problem and behave differently. Insight helps you to anticipate, I guess, positive and negative consequences of your behavior. And if you're able to do this before you start a relationship, insight will allow you to recognize what you want in a partner at the very beginning, rather than finding out months into a relationship that some of their needs don't suit you, and vice versa. So that's really one of the key concepts to therapy, is allowing an individual to be able to work out really who they are and what they want from life. And that means that you learn to take your time to evaluate how you feel and what you want, so that you get that desired outcome for a relationship, for example. The second skill is mutuality. Okay. And this is about knowing that two people in a relationship have needs, and both sets of needs matter. Mutuality is being able to express and convey the needs that you have in a clear and direct way, because that increases the likelihood that you're likely to get those needs met. If you're not communicating or expressing your needs, then it's unlikely that they're going to be met. You're going to be disappointed. Now, that may be that you are, let's say you have something to do or somewhere to go, and that you don't particularly want to do that, or you're not particularly keen on going, and you might need some support with that. So mutuality means that you will ask your partner for support, and you will expect your partner will meet that need. But that also means that you have to be fully willing to meet your partner's needs as well. So mutuality means that you will factor both people's needs into the decision-making process of the relationship. If you are not going to um, adhere to or bring in mutuality into your relationship, what you will find is one of you or both of you will become very, very selfish and neglect the other person. And that is all part of the spiral down of the decay of trust. And that's how relationships start to fall apart. Relationships tend to initially fall apart small steps at a time until lots of bits have fallen apart, then it accelerates very, very quickly. So let's say that one partner has a change of job, which might mean that you earn more money, but it might mean that one of you has to work more hours. Then mutuality means that you have a conversation with your partner about the consequences of not having as much time at home and coming to an agreement together of how you're going to plan time into your lives to spend that time together. You negotiate that time mutually to be able to understand clearly what the effects are of that new job. And that mutuality is thinking about each other's needs, taking them both into consideration, and ensuring that it's negotiated properly as a couple. Now, the final one is emotional regulation, and emotional regulation enables you to take control of your emotions in a much stronger way. So you're able to stay calm, keep your emotions into perspective within the relationship. So instead of saying, for example, this is the worst thing that ever happened to me, just because, I don't know, the bin men didn't empty the bin this morning, and so you're going to procrastinate about a full bin for the week. You can post that on social media. You can get sucked into the vortex of the negative posts that will accompany not having your dustbin emptied, get sucked into all that negativity that makes you feel and think a certain way. But emotional regulation is about thinking that there is a way to handle the situation, and you're going to handle the situation in a way that you can work it out. It means that you're able to check what you're thinking, because what you think creates the emotion, and the emotion creates behaviors. Now, you create your own mind and thoughts with that emotional regulation to think more rationally and logically about your situation and the outcome for what is best for you. So, emotional regulation is thinking about thinking and thinking about the outcome of those thoughts. Because what you think will create the way that you feel, and that's how you're going to feel and procrastinate or move forward in those thoughts. If you can develop that before you move into a relationship, then you're going to move into a relationship in a really positive way that helps you see things much differently and much more balanced. And that's a very attractive quality, particularly for, a potential mate. So emotional regulation means that you tolerate uncomfortable feelings and you don't act out on them impulsively, but you put those emotions into perspective. So if your partner was to say, what would you like to do for Valentine's Day? And you say, I'm not bothered about doing anything for Valentine's Day. Okay? First of all, guys, that's a trap. So he doesn't book anything, and you get really mad at him for being so thoughtless, because what you really wanted to do was to do something. Well, this is called mind reading, and it's not a good idea. It never works out good. So if you've been using insight skill, you would have had the awareness to say that you did want to do some things on Valentine's Day. And insight would also let you know that your partner was the kind of person to take what you said literally. And if you said, I don't want to do anything, then your partner, particularly if he's average male, is going to go, okay, we won't do anything. So that insight skill allows you to clearly communicate what your needs are and get that outcome ideally in the way that would be suitable for both of you. Now, mutuality would have let would have let you ask for what you wanted clearly and directly, and emotional regulation means that you would have dealt with any negative emotions. Well, why is it always me that's got to think of somewhere where to go on Valentine's Day? No, no, stop that. That's just procrastinating and going down the wrong path. Negative emotion means, sorry, emotional regulation means taking hold of those thoughts and making a positive out of them instead of turning it into a negative. So you might have been thinking, well, Valentine's Day is expensive. We could put that money to better use for something more practical. You might be feeling guilty, or there might be a practical reason for why you said we won't do something on Valentine's Day. But at the end of the day, if you weren't honest with yourself and you didn't relay that correctly and bring that mutuality into it and have that discussion, then you're going to create problems within the relationship. So by using those three skills, you make it clear as to what you want. You cut out the chance of negative emotions and you come to a clear agreement with your partner of how you're going to work Valentine's Day out. When you don't use those three skills, what do you create? Confusion, disappointment, upset, and resentment. So those aren't going to go down well at any level. So there you go, guys. Three skills for you to think about. Think about how you're going to develop them and incorporate them into your relationship. If you're not in a relationship, then build those skills for yourself to make yourself into the person that you want to be to attract the relationship that you want. And that will be really, really helpful for you. So thanks for listening. If you've got any questions, then drop them on my Facebook page. Give me a private message. I'll always answer as soon as I can. If you want further advice or guidance with relationships, therapy, anything at all, then again, go to my Facebook page, click on the banner. There's a link there to be able to book a strategy call with me. I'll go through that perfectly free of charge and have a look at some options for you. In the meantime, I shall see you at the next Facebook Live. I'll have some posts coming on every day. Keep an eye out for those. And I hope you find this information useful, or it just helps you think about how you can make your life and your relationship stronger. So thanks for watching.